Hi, I'm Jerry Wise, and I'm a therapist at Family Tree Counseling Associates in Carmel, Indiana. And I'd like to talk to you on this video today about doing deep marriage work. I think so often a lot of therapists who are not really trained in marriage and family therapy and really are not very experienced in doing couples counseling do counseling with couples and oftentimes provide what I would consider a light or a superficial type of counseling for marriage work. I'm not saying that cannot be helpful. It might be useful. It might be helpful to the couple. Many times couples experience feeling frustrated, or maybe they just don't feel like they've accomplished their goals for what they went to see the counselor for. I have couples who come to my office and kind of complained about how other therapists, who are not really marriage therapists, they're maybe individual counselors, either blamed one spouse or the other for the problems, or never really listened to the couple, or never really engaged them. Maybe they complained that the couple tried to express some difficulties, but the therapist just didn't know what to do with the problems that they were presented with. They would complain about how maybe the counseling they got was maybe a little advice, but pretty superficial for the problems that they were experiencing. They would also say maybe they never talked about their past, never even inquired about their family of origin, and gave them maybe a few pointers, but really never did any deep work with them. And they may have spent weeks, with even months, with a counselor who maybe never once talked about deep kind of issues with the couple. And I think if you've got just superficial problems, or if you just want someone to referee while you have your discussion with your spouse, or you just want to go and argue in front of someone, then, there are plenty of counselors or pastors or friends who might accommodate you. Or if you want to use the same kind of thinking that got you into the problems in the first place, you want to use that same paradigm and same thinking to try to solve your problems, then I would consider that more superficial counseling or more symptom-focused counseling. But what I wanted to talk about today is what I would call deep marriage counseling. If you really need to make deep and serious changes, then you need deep marital work. And you might ask, well, Jerry, what is that? Well, I think deep marriage work is when you help a couple change their paradigm, changing their thinking, changing the way they view themselves and the relationship, and changing that paradigm that got them into the marriage problems in the first place, and with that new paradigm help them into a new frontier for their relationship and for their own view of themselves. And I think that's a much more deep goal, and I think a very important one. I think deep marriage work also includes work that includes what we call family of origin work. In other words, recognizing how our family of origin plays a part in our lives today, how our past experiences influences today. I think deep family work also is about focusing on deep feelings, or maybe unconscious feelings, versus what I would call secondary feelings. And those primary feelings would be feelings such as fear, trust issues, shame, abandonment, worthlessness, versus maybe just staying on the surface, which is dealing with just a little bit of anger, a little bit of frustration, and staying focused on that level. Because I think often what's underneath the anger and frustration are very deep feelings that fuel anger, irritability, frustration, arguments, and conflict. I think deep marriage work certainly involves that the patterns that go all the way back to our childhood, the imprinting that we had from our family of origin. And in changing and making changes in that imprinting so that we can be who we want to be and have the relationships we want to have. It takes some deep, sometimes even a real struggle with that work, but it certainly is very satisfying when people make breakthroughs and when they make the changes that they want to make, and when they become the person they want to become, rather than just feeling imprisoned by all of their feelings that they're unaware of, family of origin patterns that are still at work in them, and how frustrating that can be for them, and how really rewarding and very, very exciting it is to see someone making those changes and being who they want and having the relationship and the marriage that they want. I think deep marriage work involves deep healing versus just feeling better, or just symptomatic relief, or just temporary fixes. And I think a lot of times therapists or counselors who are not trained in family and marriage work kind of stay on the, let's see if we can just make things better for the moment. Let's see if we can bring some symptom relief. Now, I'm not against symptom relief. I just don't think it's the same thing as deep marriage work. And I also think couples tend to fall back into old patterns without dealing with some of those deeper issues. I think deep marital work involves a focus far beyond just our conscious thoughts and into our unawareness, the self we have buried very deep that might be hurt or wounded or broken. And I think that deep marriage work really focuses on that, and I think it's good to have someone who is an expert and someone who knows how to help someone do that. I think deep marriage work involves doing the surgery on your relationship life versus just getting an aspirin for momentary relief. The goal of deep marital work is a permanent, irreversible change of self and the relationship. I really want the couple to accomplish the goals that they want and to be the couple that they want to be. And I think those goals are very important. I think deep marital work involves exploring solutions which are not so near the problem. In other words, expanding our view of our problems in relationship life to a 30,000-foot view. Often when we just view it from very near the problem, we apply very near the problem solutions. But what really is fueling and causing the problems may be far away from where the problems are, such as either family of origin problems we have deep within us, deep feelings of fear, mistrust, that's fueling the symptomatic problems we're having today as a couple. And that's deep marital work. I think also deep marital work involves making a shift from the cause and effect thinking to what I would call a systems thinking, or a family systems thinking in healing relationships and problems. Most of us are stuck because we have a cause and effect thinking to our marriage and a cause and effect view of relationships. And we've never really learned how to think using a family systems approach, which can be a powerful way to change and to grow. And I think using systems thinking can bring about a whole host of new options and new choices in how we address and deal with problems. And in fact, I think a far more effective way. So I've explained to you what I consider deep marital work might be, or what it is. Well, what is it not? Well, I think, as I've already mentioned, it's not just working on superficial issues and superficial level. It's not just working on let's get a solution going before we even do an assessment. I think it's very important to do a very extensive assessment that's very important for the couple, so I get to know them very well, they get to know themselves very well, then we start working towards those goals. And I think that's all the way from our internal struggles of are we depressed or are we not, all the way to, or do we have anger management issues or mood disorders, or to all the way to what was it like growing up in our family. What struggles did we have growing up? What did we learn about relationships from our parents? I think what deep marriage work is not is also learning to cope versus learning to heal our deep inner self. We want to move beyond just coping. While I'm for coping, we want to move beyond that to really deep healing. So we want to move past just symptom relief. We want to move past just behavioral changes to deep inner self changes. And I think that's deep marital work also. We also want to not just focus on anger and frustration. While anger and frustration is common for couples, I think of anger and frustration as being secondary feelings, and there are primary feelings that are underneath that we need to take a look at. Abandonment, fear, hurt, mistrust, pain, a broken self-image. That usually fuels the anger and frustration. Undoing those things, dealing with those feelings, anger and irritability and frustration tend to heal themselves naturally. I think also a superficial marital work ignores family of origin influences on our inner life. It ignores family of origin influences on our present marriage. I think that superficial kind of marital work stays out of the past. It basically sees your marriage or your spouse as the problem, versus how are these symptoms and the road signs to how you heal yourself how you heal your inner self. Because I think our spouse is a guide for us to heal ourselves. I think our marital problems are a guide for us to heal ourselves. They're not some things to be blamed. There are things for us to gain insight from and to grow. This is how I view deep inner marital work. And if you want to do that work, give me a call at 317-919-6264. You can also reach me at www.familytreecounseling.com. There are articles and blogs there you can take a look at and educate yourself and begin to learn. Also, for those of you who are not in the Indianapolis area, I do provide Skype therapy and Facetime therapy through the internet and can help couples who are really looking for a deeper view and a deeper help with their problems to bring about permanent and lasting changes. I appreciate you listening today. Have a great day.